It's Real Madrid versus Manchester City time again. Has this fixture become too boring? Let's find out together in this UCL match preview.
What we do here is go back.
So, for the 6th time since 2022, Manchester City will play Real Madrid in the Champions League. This is getting boring now. This is getting repetitive. I'm sick of playing Real Madrid, and Real Madrid are sick of playing against Man City. And I don't know. I don't know why this keeps happening. I don't know why we keep doing this. It's not even like public engagement is that high for this fixture anymore, because everyone just complains about it. And then, at the beginning in 2022, it was interesting because not only was it the first time these two teams had met since 2020, which just kind of goes to show how much of a repetitive fixture it is. But also, back in 2022, both of these teams were undisputedly two of the best football teams, form-wise, in the planet. Real Madrid went on to win a treble that season. They didn't win the Copa del Rey, but they won the Supercopa, so they won 3 trophies, you know what I mean? And Man City, won the Premier League pretty difficultly. So that fixture was great, not for City, because Rodrigo scored 2 goals very quickly, but it was a great fixture for the neutral. And then the year after that, City got their revenge. Bernardo Silva, scoring that brace, 4-0 at the Etihad. Real Madrid had no chance that day, 0 chance. And then City went on to win the trophy. And then last season, both teams were doing pretty bad. 2023, both teams, it was kind of different that time because City won the treble, the actual treble, and Real Madrid kind of struggled a bit more that season. They won the Copa del Rey, if I remember. If memory serves, they won the Copa del Rey. But that was it. And the following season, last season, Real Madrid went trophyless, I'm pretty sure. Or they won 1 trophy, and maybe the Supercopa. And Man City went trophyless. And both of those teams were really struggling in their leagues, or struggling more than is expected out of them for the teams they are. So it's kind of, I don't get why we keep repeating this fixture, because, I'm sure they're not doing it on purpose, but if they are, they're doing a bad job of, creating exciting fixtures, because this is boring now. No one wants to keep seeing Man City versus Real Madrid. It draws money, but it doesn't draw excitement. Not anymore. Particularly this season, both teams haven't been at their peaks, especially Real Madrid. Let's talk about Real Madrid for a second, because they have not been good this season, or at least not to the standard that is expected out of them. Xabi Alonso was supposed to come in and kind of fix things, and I suppose for the first kind of week or for first month or so, he did. They played okay at the Club World Cup. They got some easy fixtures like Borussia Dortmund in the quarterfinals, really. That's your version of difficult. It's not like Borussia Dortmund are a bad team, but Borussia Dortmund? Really? I'm going to regret saying that. But as they got deeper into the season, you've started to see leaks in their defense. You've started to see, injuries coming up. I think Dean Huysen was injured for a bit, which was supposed to be their reprieve at the back. He was supposed to be someone who helped them out and in a position that they kind of struggled last season because they're getting older. David Alaba, Antonio Rudiger, not exactly the youngest defender, so they needed someone like Dean Huysen to come in, and they got him, and, can't do much when he's injured. And let's particularly talk about that game against Celta Vigo. Conceded 2 goals at the Bernabeu, got 2 red cards, and just showed really no type of excitement. I think the highlights for the game on Sky Sports started it in the 50th minute. That just shows you that you can't blame Celta Vigo for not making an exciting game when they're playing against Real Madrid. Come on. I'm being harsh on Real Madrid, but I also have to say my fair bit about Man City because I have to acknowledge we haven't been the best team this season. Early slip ups to Brighton. Who else did we lose to? Newcastle. That draw against Monaco, which could have very easily been a win if Eric Dyer didn't score a penalty in the last minutes. That was weird. The game against Villa, and particularly recently, the game against Leverkusen and the aforementioned loss against Newcastle. So, City haven't been great either, but City have been kind of in the area where you expect them to be. They're high on the table. They're not first, but they weren't first the season they won the treble. They weren't first the season they won 4 in a row at this point. So it's kind of like, where do you put Real Madrid in all of this? Because they're playing against a team that right now, although we conceded 4 goals at home or away to Fulham, and we conceded 2 goals at home to Leeds, we have come in with winning form. It's not like we're a bad team. And Real Madrid right now, by all definitions of the word, kind of are. They're an out-of-form team. If you want to talk about conceding goals away to teams, they conceded 3 away to Olympiacos. They drew to Girona away. They drew to Elche. Drew to Rayo Vallecano. Lost to Liverpool. What? Losing to Liverpool has got to be the worst thing you can do this season. Sorry. I mean, it was at Anfield, I guess, but Nottingham Forest won at Anfield 3-0. What are we doing? And now, most recently, that loss against Celta Vigo that I mentioned. It's just not been a good season for Real Madrid, and I don't know, do I see it improving against Man City? I'm not sure. At the same time, though, on a football level, we have to acknowledge that these are the kind of games where form doesn't really matter. There's a lot of types of games where form doesn't really come into play, and this is one of them. Derbies, clásicos, things like that where you have to bring your A game, and there's that kind of psychological effect. And it's Real Madrid in the Champions League, so anything at all can happen. We will see. Now, what I wanted to do was look at their previous Champions League fixture and kind of try to see how they lined up to try and understand how they might try and approach this game. So it seems last game against Olympiacos, I understand that since it's against Olympiacos, it's not going to quite be the same because obviously you don't play the same people you do for Olympiacos away and Man City away. But it seems like they still went with a pretty good formation. Brought out Kylian Mbappe, brought out Arda Güler, Valverde, Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Vinicius Jr., Trent. They didn't have Bellingham in the squad that day. I expect Bellingham to play against Man City because he did play against Celta Vigo, I believe. Yes, he did, as a striker, it says on Google. Google's so bad for lineups. I don't know. Why am I looking at this? But yeah, I expect Real Madrid to come out the doors with Thibaut Courtois, Tchouaméni, Valverde, Güler, dude. Kylian Mbappe, Bellingham, Vinicius Jr. I think really where they're going to try to hit City, as they did last year, is on the counter-attack because City don't learn. City play with a high line. I'm telling you right now, you can come back to this later. City will play with a high line despite the fact that they're facing a team that really is probably they have the potential to be the greatest counter-attacking team on planet Earth. You saw what happened when they signed Kylian Mbappe. Every TikTok, every Instagram short, every news article was talking about how if this team catches you on the counterattack, you're done. You're finished. You can't do anything because Kylian Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. outpace literally any player on earth. And it's crazy because what are you going to do? What are you going to do when you see those two bearing down on goal? I think the players to look out for this game are going to be Mbappe and probably Valverde, because Valverde plays well every time he plays against us. It's just, I don't know. I'm not sure how he's been this season. I mean, I don't keep up with Real Madrid as much as I do with Manchester City, if I'm being completely honest. But I feel like Valverde is a very good player. He's got a lot of good attributes about him. So he's going to be tricky. He's going to be someone to look out for. But the way I believe City should line up for this game is just stick with what we've been doing, really. Stick with what we've been doing. I think go with, if we look at Manchester City's last game, yeah, just basically what we've been doing. I think it was interesting last game we saw Ryan Cherki with Phil Foden. I thought at the beginning of the season, I thought that was going to be a kind of area of dispute because they're both central attacking midfielders. I know, not very, FIFA terminology. Yeah, so much ball knowledge. But they're both attacking midfielders. So, and we know from previous seasons that Foden, he was good on the wing in 23-24, but last season we saw that he's kind of lacking that sort of, pace to play on the wing. And the thing about Foden on the wing is that every time he scores, like those amazing goals, he always cuts in and scores them from the middle of the box. So might as well start him out in the middle of the box because you barely see him cutting out. You see him cutting in. Yeah, cutting in to try and bend one in, but you barely ever see him cutting out like Grealish and Doku and Savinho do because they're trying to get a cross in. But Foden is never thinking that way. Cherki, however, does, because he is a central attacking midfielder who, despite not being as fast as a midfielder, has the passing that maybe Foden doesn't. So it's going to be interesting, but I want to see Cherki back in the starting 11, and and if that means taking Foden out, then maybe that's what we have to do, because Foden, he's a great player. He's been doing great, but experimenting with them both against Sunderland is fine. Experimenting with them both against Real Madrid away, maybe not so much the same thing. And also, Real Madrid are very compact. They're going to play with a lot of midfielders. So maybe we play them both in midfield. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, because if both of them play, then it's going to be difficult for Doku to play. But we'll see. So I think the way City will line up this game will be Gianluigi Donnarumma, Nunes, Diaz, Gvardiol, O'Reilly, Nico Gonzalez, Bernardo Silva. Unfortunately, don't know why we keep insisting on Bernardo Silva. He's gotten better, I'll admit. Also, Cherki, Jeremy Doku, Erling Haaland, and as the last player, probably Foden. I imagine, it's going to be unchanged from the game against Sunderland. If it does change, if Pep Guardiola switches something up, it's going to be the winger. It's going to be Savinho or Savinho for either Foden or Cherki. I believe that's what's going to happen. So that's it. Those are my thoughts on the game against Real Madrid. Leave in the comments anything else you'd like to add to this conversation. I think it's a game that City can win, definitely, but it's also very much a game City can just throw away, like when it's their game to lose. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you after the game.